How about a quick voice check? Can you guys hear me? Alright, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. We're almost ready. How's that one? I was gonna lower it when we started. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome. Hope you're all having a good evening. Alright, so here we go. Let's jump into Bitcoin. Hope everything's good with the volume and this is working a little bit better. Starting to just fine tune everything a little bit here. But anyways, okay, so a couple hours ago I kind of told you guys we have to watch out here. We're at this critical level again, which is 58,400 basically, 58.4. We can mark the level just to see it up on the chart. Actually, I'm gonna mark it this way, so let's go 58.4 is basically right there. Okay, so we'll turn that a different color. It's magenta. Okay, so that's the level that we're basically bumping up against, right? So when we took this initial long, we were, you know, your target one on something like this would be C, and then target two would be A, and after that you would be targeting the highs up here as target three on a low time frame, right? If you're just talking about this small harmonic, right? Because like we said, you know, you hit this target one, you're getting some action there. Maybe you hit target two, you get some resistance there. Maybe you hit three, and then you get a small pullback to back test this level, and then you run again, right? So something like that could be in store, as well as If the level, again, like we said, if this level fails right here, we could see a potential sell off back to the 56,400 area, which is this previous square up down here. Okay, so if we saw that happen again, what I was telling you guys is, look, the entry was down here. Okay, the stop can be at the entry, right, like this. So even if you're a spot guy, your stop could be below X still. It's up to you. Just depends. You guys are all on different leverages, right? So that applies different. But basically, we don't ever want to see this low get swept. So if we do get a partial sell-off here, all you're doing is on the low time frames resetting oscillators. It's not a big deal. You're squaring up. You're filling a CME gap at like 56. So a lot of boxes would be checked, and then you could continue on the trend. A lot of times this the exchange will square this up on purpose so they can exit this trade here, break even, and then the traders can take this price and push it back up again. But they're not always a guarantee. Look, this one never happened. It'll happen eventually on the way back down. We'll hit it. But it doesn't have to happen right away. It's just something to keep in mind. That's why we have two scenarios, right? Scenario one, we break, hold, and go. Okay? Scenario one. Scenario two, we fail and we sell off and we find support somewhere, and then we could run again. So finding that support would have been at that potential level that we just identified for this square up, right? That could be your potential support level. It's just the way price action might react, square up, and then ultimately you'd be putting in again this slightly higher high, right? So you had the low, higher low. You'd just be painting that same structure we're looking at on a higher time frame on a low time frame, right? Where you'd create this neckline, and then you'd create this upsloping trend line, right? So it's not a big deal, and it would paint some kind of harmonic. X, A, B, sorry, I think I painted it from the wrong spot. It would be from back here. It would be from this high, previous high, X, A, B, C, and that's how you shoot these highs, okay? So now as far as shooting those highs, you have this high up there, okay, at, what is this? Basically 62,000. It's like 61,800, okay? So if you shoot that high, you got to get above it. Well, do you have room? Yep, you have the 1618 up there, okay? So 1618 gets the high, okay? So you come back in, you paint this butterfly crab type thing, more of a butterfly. It had a really deep B. You hate to see it. You wish this was a little bit shallower. You wish it did that, and it pretty much did, the way it reacted to that price, you know what I mean? So as long as we didn't put in that higher high, right, than X, so it was still a lower high here. So this painted this lower high right here. So you have this trend line that you're working on. You have to work on breaking that. We'll see how that reacts. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. Let's clean that up now that we know what we're kind of aiming for here. There's that square up, this kind of previous neckline area, and a lot of times you'll see just this, right? Traders just looking at this big kind of trend line. I bet this is coming from somewhere else, right? See what I mean? So you have a lot of traders just looking at this and not really knowing what's going to happen here. So because it's kind of indecisive price action, if you don't have more variables, right? If you're just trading that symmetrical triangle like that, we've talked about that being a neutral pattern where it has targets to both the up and downside. So somebody could paint that symmetrical triangle and target a downside break out of it, which would be down here somewhere. And if they were targeting something down there and it were to break up here, that's gonna wreck them, right? So if we get this partial decline, again, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. We talked about that on the daily. We said, look, on our way up, there's going to be some downtime. Look, on our way up, there was some down. Okay, so on our way up, there might be a little bit more down, and then we just continue up. As long as you don't lose this low and this low back here, that's why this stop is like this previous anchor point on X, right? So as long as you don't lose that, this low and this low really here, this one was really discernible. So I'd like to see a square up hold above it. Okay, so if that were to happen, how does a square up look right there? Okay, so let's zoom in. Okay, so ideally we'd fib the low to the high here, okay? And okay, you see how when you went up and you touched this downsloping trend line and you stopped there and you started to sell off? Well, when you sell off and you touch this 236, the only reason we paint the 236 on the fib is just to confirm that this is actually a swing high point, because you have a low or a high, a higher high, and then a lower high, right? So it's like this swing high failure. Touch the 236, confirm the swing high, then you target this golden retrace zone, which would now be 382 to the 618. Okay, something like that. And that doesn't mean you can't get a deeper retrace, right? You could have still got that whatever it was down here a little bit deeper into the 786 and the 886 level. It's just the golden zone is here. If that is likely a swing top, you're gonna get the golden zone. You don't have to get the deep. You can, but you don't have to. But the golden zone you will typically get, but it might be as low as just touching 57.6, right? That's if this fails. I'm not saying we're gonna get this. I'm saying if they can't get back above 58.4, then you're gonna get this. But if you could get back above 58.4 here and hold it, then you can break out. So you got one more little level there to break. Sorry, let me paint that again. You got one more little level to break. If not, you're gonna go X, A, B, retrace into the golden zone, and then you could shoot the highs, okay? That's how something like that would paint a butterfly. Okay, so, and again, it's not a big deal. It's just another higher low, higher low, higher low. So you just start to see this reversing of the trend here, right? You see how that would just be this pivot point, and now we could kind of take that, you know, up, right? The way we would like to see it at that point, right? If this becomes something like that. Okay, so again, let's mark that level, critical level, 58,000, basically 400, we'll call it right there, okay? So we could set an alert on that trend line. So once we cross it to the upside, let's ping ourselves. So we just set an alert on the trend line, okay? So you can see a little clock right there. Anyways, that is what we're watching on Bitcoin. So scenario A is just get above this and pump. B would be reject it, get back here, reset, higher low, and then you're gonna send it. Either way, we're going up here. So the only people that this bothers right here are the over leveraged, because if you're in down here, you're not over leveraged. All this is a higher low, which you keep seeing these higher lows, right? This would be another one on our way up to target areas above the previous all-time high, right? So targeting at least 62, which would break the high, probably get a small pullback, and then you'll run it again, right? Something like that. But again, we need a little bit more price action here. Now that the daily closed, okay, so a lot of times Bitcoin likes to do this shit where you'll close it daily and then you'll give it about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, sometimes even 2-3 hours, but like in that little window right after the daily close, there's a lot of volatility, okay? So it's either going to be volatility heavy up or this is going to dump into the golden zone, chop around, hit the square up, fill the gap, reset, put in the C anchor point of the butterfly, and then run to see if we could get that D right up here, 618. All right, so that's the story on Bitcoin for the current moment, and we're at 58,100. So we've rejected it, broke it, thought we were good, but we just hit this downsloping trend line, rejected, fell back below, rejected again, rejected again, rejected again, probably gonna sell off. I don't know, we'll just have to see. Bulls need to step in quick, because low time frame. This is why I alerted it. It was like, geez, I don't know, I think it was the 60-minute maybe. Yeah, okay, so look, on the 60-minute, this is what I saw. This is when you guys got that signal, which basically said, you know, be careful. So what we have here, see this MACD, where we put in this high, lower high on positive momentum, and third lower high on positive momentum. Okay, so as we were doing that, price line up with this big island, it was right here. Okay, so you had this initial kind of high area, you put in a higher high with this island top here, and then your third higher high was the current top, and that lines up with this lower positive momentum island. So you see how as you were running the price up, this is a low time frame, 1 hour, don't freak out. As you're running up and selling off, running up, selling off, running up, selling off, your positive momentum, you were losing it, right? The amount of people that were on your wagon here started to fall off. Okay, we started losing support because you squared up. Look, remember we painted this and we said we're gonna go whoop, and we hit it. There's that area. So now that you have this retrace, you're just kind of resetting. You have to get rid of this. Okay, look at this. Basically, if you were painting this as again, this, you don't paint these as patterns, but yet you do, right? So if this was some kind of pattern here, you'll start to see this. Now that I'm showing it to you like this, you'll be like, oh shit, MACD's painting an inverse head and shoulders, or a head and shoulders. Either way, you'll paint this on the bottom side too. Okay, so now look at it again. So what happened is you put in this initial high, here, April 8th, okay? Then you put in that slightly higher high right here where you created the other island on like April 9th, and then you put in that slightly higher high, so that's where you created that head and shoulders on the MACD, right? So as you created this head and shoulders MACD, you created, basically what you're doing is you're creating bearish divergence. So then what we like to see at the end is kind of a double top area, and you just put in a slightly lower high, and again, that's this rounding price action where you're starting to turn this trend a little bit, right? So something like this is starting to happen and you're proceeding to sell off. It's not the end of the world. You just need to get rid of this. You need to erase this off the board, either paint hidden bullish divergence, which you're painting, and that usually happens, okay? And then you reset and you could run again. So what I mean, so that's okay. Oh, another thing I was going to show you is not only on the MACD where we seeing this, but then now let's go to the RSI. So look at the RSI. Again, this is low time frame, 1 hour, but we're looking for this on the high time frame for our major reversal, okay? So as you see this RSI, it just keeps putting in lower levels of relative strength, and it also had this big rounding of the tide type of situation here, where it was just not able to, you know, basically just, you could see the relative strength just dying off, right? It's just the trend is turning. So sometimes all you do though is sell off back to the 50, because on the RSI, the way we're looking at this is basically like a big channel, okay? So if I were the RSI and I was a channel, I would basically be like this, okay? This is the channel of the RSI. So what did we just do? We went up and we kind of failed to get back up to the high side of the channel here, painted the bearish divergence on both the RSI and the MACD, and we've proceeded to sell off. But we're basically just back here at this center point here, and this midpoint area is just like a heart line of a channel. Can you come back to the bottom? Sure. But sometimes all you do sometimes is you sell off to this middle and then you run the highs again, and you sell off to the middle and you run the highs again. And this is a bullish trend, okay? So that's something that we're going to be looking for. So don't worry if you come back to the 50, even if you do it again right here. What we more have to worry about is when we keep coming back to the 50. Whoops. We keep coming back to the 50, and then when we sell off this last times, we start to paint this bearish divergence up here. That's when we want to be kind of afraid of it. On this backside, it wasn't diverging bearishly yet. See, that's like convergence, and this front side one is the divergence, okay? So that's kind of what we'd be looking for on the RSI. So if we come back and reset the 50, we're just gaining strength again, right? So don't worry about it. Okay. So what's happening? Yep, we just broke below 58. That's not good. Okay, so if this is the case, guys, I told you stop out on a high leverage play at 58. You just got stopped. So you could look to layer this area, but don't start right away, because let this, see, this hasn't even started paint. See how when we turn, we go from the darker red to the lighter red as we turn? So you're still painting these dark red, okay? So we haven't even started to turn. Then we either need hidden bull or classic bull, and that's when we say, okay, that's the part of the golden pocket where we would look for a pivot, right? Somewhere where this divergence paints at the square up maybe. So this might be a little high. It's just an area of interest to be ready once you get in those levels, okay? So sometimes what you'll see is price will sell off, it'll hit this level, bounce up, paint this bear flag, hit it again. As you do this, that's where you're painting the bullish divergence on the oscillators, and you're hitting this square up level. That's where you layer back in for another run up, okay? Because I know some of you are probably looking for a new entry. Stop would be below this previous low, right? Use this previous low. Stop's gonna have to be below it. So our target has to be equitable. So we need this to be high enough to be 3-to-1 minimum. And we're gonna take this up here back again to the highs like we said, right? So if we get this reset, X, A, B, we get the reset, C, 786, that's where we get the highs. That's how we get our 3-to-1 trade, okay? So if this fails, look to layer the golden zone. Again, all we did was fib from A to B, and that's where we get our golden zone. It's between the 382 and the 618. But we could go as low as the 786, right? But again, watch that square up at 56,400. Okay, so let's go back to the 4 hour. We're looking at Ethereum now, okay, 4 hours. So same thing, look at this. We painted this, painted this last stream, okay. So we said on this low time frame, we were painting a bullish bat on ETH. We had our entry down here at this green line. And if you were targeting the first area of interest is going to be the A and the C, right? So basically here, we're basically at that. Failed a little bit short. We more did a square up. So it's okay though, you'll still get those targets. You're just going to sell off a little bit and then you'll get it, okay? So it's still a target area. Ideally, we want to go close above that now. Regard these previous highs as support, and that's how we get the next target, okay? But can we see this slight sell off here? Sure. Doesn't even matter, okay? Do not freak out about stuff like that. It's supposed to get you to, you know, puke a position that if you were still in from down here, it's trying to get you to puke it. If you're higher leverage, it's trying to get you out. Just, it's trying to get other people to think we're not going up and that this is going to sell off. Again, all we did is kind of hit this level here. Not even yet. I mean, you could kind of say we did it if you do it like this. But anyways, those are relevant. Again, we're painting the similar harmonic where we have X, A, B, C, D, right? So some kind of square up here. Your square up is right here, okay? That previous level. So if that did that, it's like a 786, basically 786. See that? 786. Hit the square up, no big deal. Paint the butterfly. Target the 1618. Hit target 2. On the way up, you'd hit target 1, right? Because your entry is this green line. So if that's your entry, this is just another higher low from the previous low, and your low's down here. Okay, so you run up, you sell off a little bit, you reset, you run up, you hit target 1, you hold target 1, you consolidate, or you distribute, whatever, consolidate at resistance, and then you run up again, right? You're not distributing yet, you're more consolidating and eating. You're gonna eat the supply zone, eat it, and then it's gonna break. So ETH, okay, so if this fails, watch for Bitcoin. As this sells off, layer in here, layer in here, layer in here, okay? What is this? Litecoin, okay, so I'm not sure where that came from. We're on the 8 hour, okay, so Litecoin, let's go to the 240. Okay, so here we go, Litecoin. All right, what are we looking at here? Basically, we had this previous inverse head and shoulders. We painted a neckline there. That neckline that we painted is basically what we're using now as our support. You see that? So support is below the previous, stop is below the previous neckline. Even if this comes and touches it again, and usually it doesn't because you already did that right here, okay? So, excuse me. A lot of times this just sells off a little bit, but again, it ends up putting in a higher low, right? So if you were some kind of 4 hour Litecoin type of harmonic, you'd be like X, A, B, C, D. If we get a 786, you're gonna paint a Gartley. 786 is deep, but it's there, and you're gonna hold, okay? So you're gonna freak out. Might freak people out, but don't freak out, right? So, okay, look. All that happened there, if this plays out, all that's happening is you see this previous level back here. Let me move the harmonic real quick. Okay, you see this previous square up here area where the price just took off? Well, a lot of times it'll come back to it, but as soon as it does, it'll double bottom there and it'll get bought up quick, okay? It's just something the exchanges have to do to get out of their underwater positions from facilitating the bulls on that run. People that jumped onto their exchange, bought in on a high leveraged long position and took money from them, right? So, okay, so if we put this back, stop is below here. You could almost use these previous closes as your stop too. Stop below here. Either way, 786, because look, you got a 618 here on this. So see how we're looking for this 618? Right there would have been a 618. Sorry, this mouse is touchy. 618. So if you go X, A, initial impulse, retrace 61% of the way back down, then you sell, you raise back up, but this could be anywhere between a 382 and a 786, 886. It could have squared up here, okay? And it wouldn't have been a big deal. It would still be a Gartley. So this is just a partial you know, rise in price here, put in another anchor point, 50% retracement basically is what you did, Dow's theory. So you retrace, hit the 50, you couldn't muster above the 50, right? So after you hit the 50, now you sell off, you hit the 786. So the 786, basically it's coming from the previous X anchor point low down here, previous X. So if we fib from the X low to the A high, we get this 786. See this blue line right here, 786. So that's our area of interest right there for the entry point of a Gartley. And painting a Gartley here is extremely bullish, because Gartleys, they do crazy stuff where they'll just straight send it. Okay, so again, it's not a big deal. We're just going to identify another potential area to enter trade. There's always another trade, right? There's always another trade. Okay, so 786, okay, that's from the X low to the A high, you get the 786. Now let's do the same thing and do a second fib from the B low to the C high, and look what we got here. We got a 1414. See that red line now? So the red line will mark, because the previous one was a 786. Now this is a 1414. So you can see it's almost a 61. Excuse me. Okay, right here. So what that's looking at when you paint it like this, you're basically looking at two things. Okay, you're trying to get a 1414 here and a 786 here, and those are coinciding fibs. Okay, so that's what I'm watching when I'm drawing this. I'm looking at both of those numbers at the same time, and I'm trying to get it as close as possible to making a 1414 with a 786, and then I just take that area and I layer it, right? So we layer, stop below the previous X. You know, that's where our entry was of a previous harmonic. All this is a higher low, and this gives you the steam. You needed this power, okay? You used a lot of your initial upthrust. Now you sell off and you reset. You're signaling to the buyers, to the bulls, hey boys, look what we're painting here. And we're holding this above this previous neckline. Remember, this support is coming, this stop is coming from this previous kind of neckline. See where this X couldn't hold back? You know, what was once resistance is now support, right? So you're holding above that level, and now you're painting a Gartley. Okay, so if this sells off here, just load up the truck again, back it up. Okay. Litecoin, that area of interest was basically between $200 and 207. Okay, so 200 to 207 is your layer on Litecoin. I'll kind of do that so when you guys refer back. Okay, 200 to 207 is your layer. What is this one? Oh, stupid BNB. Okay, so what's happening here? Watch, check this out. This happens oftentimes too. All right, here's what we don't like on BNB. Here's why we said possible short. All right, so if we get rid of the harmonic real quick, this is basically the structure we've been looking at on everything else. Okay, so a lot of other coins, we basically you know, we had this neckline here. However you want to paint it, it was something like this. Okay, so we had this previous neckline, and basically, let me get rid of this one. So if this was this previous neckline of this head, it was almost like even a little higher. It was almost like here, right? Yeah, it was right there. Okay, so you had this inverse head and shoulders, painted neckline, you broke up, you back tested it. But see how it was a higher low? A higher low. All it was this is what we're looking for, right? All you did was you came back up, you sold off, you squared up the level, a slightly lower square up. It was good enough, but it was a higher low. See, you continue to just paint these higher lows. Just trying to grab it. Okay, right here. So you had a low on price, a higher low, a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. We're continuing to do that, but now you know, that's a lot of higher lows, right? Eventually something's got to give. So what's going to give? Let's check it out. So what we've been looking at here is we've had this previous structure, right, on everything, basically on everything. So if this previous structure were to hold on other coins, where you create this neckline, sell back off, higher low, go back up, back test it, and then you shoot, right? So a lot of things are in this, a lot of coins right now are in this area here. Okay, a lot of assets are right here. So this is like a telltale sign of how we're gonna get up here on some of these other assets. We're gonna shoot the highs, sell back off, higher low, sweep the previous high, see, sweep the previous high, then back test everything else as support that was once previous resistance. Okay, when this level here was resistance, we're now gonna hold it as support, paint another inverse head and shoulders, some kind of pattern that again builds momentum, right, for the upside. So we paint the inverse head and shoulders here, gives us more targets to the upside. We hit them. We painted a symmetrical triangle, neutral pattern, targets down and up. We broke up. We squared it back off. Immediately got back up, bought back up, tweezer bottom, ran again, hit a square up, ran again. And now, I mean, we're just at these crazy areas here where, like, I don't even know. Okay, so see this gray box here though? This was the area, like, I'm still filling bids right here. This is what I posted last night. Okay, I said, look, we hit a 1618. We hit the bottom of this box is a 1414, and the middle of this box is a 1618, and we're continuing to fill just above it, because sometimes you kind of just have these liquidations happening here, and then it kind of gets sold off. You need this high, a higher high, and then a slightly lower high, and you need to paint some kind of swing high failure here. Okay, so that's what we're still looking for. Okay, so watch. BNB here. Alright, so let me clean this up a little bit. Delete. Okay. So BNB here, we're gonna fib from this previous high to low. And you see how we hit this 618? Yes, I know, it's going above it a little bit. It happens, but it's not something like on the daily. I'll pull up the daily here in 1 second, and you'll see just how exhausted this looks across several time frames. So what happens is, and we'll see this on a lot of harmonics, where you'll hit the D. Okay, so let me show you. X, A, B, C, 1618, you hit the D, okay? It's like right 1618 right there. Okay, so you hit this D, and then you put in this slightly higher high than the D, and then that's it. Okay, so we'll identify this on several other harmonics. Okay, so Scott Carney calls that he calls the D the pattern completion zone. You've completed the pattern in its zone. Then the slightly higher high is like the optimal, absolute optimal entry of the harmonic. So I don't know, it's just something we'll see how this plays out, right? So while we're looking at this one, I just want to show you guys, I'm pretty sure on the daily. So the higher the time frame, the more significant the pattern. Okay, so now that we've moved to the daily, let me show you guys something here. Okay, so on the daily, look what's happening here. You have put in a previous high on price, and now you're putting in a higher high, but you're putting in lower levels of positive momentum. Okay, so that is basically at the top of this trend here. Let me show you guys. Okay, so look, you put in this high, and now you're putting in this higher high here, right? So as you're doing that, you're putting in lower levels of positive momentum. So the buyers are exhausting. And then same thing on the RSI. See this? RSI and MACD divergence at the 1618 of a harmonic. So that's the kind of stuff that, like, you can't get bullish there. Okay, you don't have to be a shorter. Some guys don't ever short. It's okay. You just sell your long, wait for it to sell off, find a new opportunity, and then re-long again, right? But if you were in a long, see, our longs right now are basically, they're happening right here. Okay, so if we're in longs on Bitcoin, that happened right here. We're currently at this neckline area. That's why if we can break it, we'll do this. Okay, and then we'll back test it and we'll leave that level. Yeah, I mean, we're basically down here, right? So we have all this room to run still. So no need to worry too soon, unless you're too high on lev, right? Then you always got to be on your toes. Okay, so let's go back to the 4 hour. Okay, 4 hour, and we'll go moving along. Okay, what do we got here? XRP is next. So XRP, this on the 1 hour was painting some pretty nasty divergence bearishly, and it's painting this symmetrical triangle. But again, we got to watch out with these because they're really neutral. So you measure it from the top, from the bottom of the structure basically to this top point, and you can take this both ways. Okay, so you got to be really careful here because this pattern is neutral. So it depends probably on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin fails, maybe you see XRP get the bottom side of this. But if Bitcoin runs, maybe all the alts, you know, have some steam, and you can see the top side of this target for XRP. So that's what your play would be on XRP, kind of right there. Yeah, neutral pattern. We don't like neutral patterns. They're not as telling. And if you wanted to kind of, it's double-edged sword, right? So you could be saying, well, maybe it's something like that, right? And that's how you get down there. So you got to be careful. You got to be aware that, you know, you're at $1 right now for XRP. Like, I wouldn't pay $1 for that shit. So coming back to 75 cents, 73 cents, like, that just a square up. It's just reasonable. Maybe even get the deeper square up, right? And you sell up behind the target, and you hit these previous levels that were once resistance. You now turn them into support at the 886, right? Some kind of structure like that for XRP. I don't know. It just, we'll have to see. A lot of it's going to depend on Bitcoin. If you wanted a bullish argument on XRP, again, we're in a neutral zone here, so got to be careful. Let's see if we could get a bullish argument for you. Bullish argument on the 4 hour basically just states that you have a little bit of convergence on the MACD, kind of going with price. So you like to see that, right? If you're a bull on XRP. On the MACD, again, remember I told you guys about that that channel that this RSI, sorry, I might have said MACD, the RSI parallel channel kind of situation. So if we sell off again and paint that downside of that pattern, and we sell off, right, and square up at that 786, all you might have done is reset to the 50, and that gives you a chance to run again. Okay, so it does not have to go all the way down here to run again. I think that's a misconception on the RSI, is that when it hits the bottom, it has to go to the top. When it hits the top, it has to go to the bottom. I don't think that's good reality. Okay. FTT here, okay. So FTT 4 hour. All right, so yeah, I mean, I don't really like what I'm seeing here. You basically had this first area of, let me do it like this where you guys can see all three of them. You had a high on price, a slightly higher high on price, and an even higher high on price, and an even higher high on price, where on that whole time you were doing that on the opposite on the MACD, right? So you following along there? So the first time you basically almost put in a 4 times bearish divergence, or at least a 3x on the MACD with tail end RSI. So that's where you would have sold off the first time. You did sell off, but it was barely anything. So it got bought up quick, and you put in a double bottom, and that was it, right? So this double bottom, that was it. So what happened then is you started putting in the convergence now to the upside, and you've got another move up. But now since that second move up, you're now starting to sell off. I mean, you're starting to bearishly diverge again. Whoops, on the MACD again. Okay, so you got to be careful. And again, RSI tail end divergence, right? So when we've seen this story before, we sold off. So you would figure you should see a little bit of a sell-off here. Maybe it's just to this previous level, and you come and you regard that again, and you run again, just like you did right here, right? So, but you have to reset. It's hard to run when you got the divergence on both of them. And it's on multiple time frames too, so it's not what you want to see. And look, you're at $50. So what is that? Another box is checked. Critical area, right? Psychological level, $50. Yeah, you've went above it, but just barely. You gotta really hold above it and close, and then paint more above it. You can wick it above it all day. It's about the follow through. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I would not be longing FTT at 50. I would look for a pullback maybe to 40, maybe 45. I mean, even that's little expensive, but you can see the area from the previous high to this previous high here. So kind of this area of support there that we're looking to maybe holds. That's between 43 and 46 basically. So see if you can hold it. All right, what is this? SOL. Okay, so again, look on Sol was bullish. We were bullish on Sol down here, okay, because this was our structure where we put in the low and we put in the higher low, right? So that's the structure we like to look for, right? I know you guys are starting to pick up on that. Okay, so let's zoom in on that structure. Okay, so we have that neckline painted. You basically you found the high, you create the bottom, and then you run back up, you test the high, fail, test the high, fail, and then you finally break through, right? So that created this neckline that you then back tested and held. See, this is what you need to do on FTT. You need to break above 50, back test 50, hold 50, indecision doji, bullish engulfing, followed by just like solid follow through price action, paint a symmetrical triangle, indecision, allow things to reset while you create indecisiveness between the traders, break to the high side, back test it, put in another structure again, right? There's the structure again where you're painting you basically paint this this low followed by a slightly higher low followed by a neckline, right? And then you break above, back test, put in a higher low again. The trend is becoming, you went from becoming just a kind of natural trend line here, right? Something like this. You went from being a natural trend line to then what becomes more of a parabolic up thrust like this, right? And that's when again we find our parabolic rise, okay? And that's how you got this to where you are. Look, that's where we are. So let's tighten that up. it's kind of more like this, I guess. So it looks like price had gotten away from it, and now you're getting yourself back to touching it. You know, ideally you probably fail through it, come back up, back test it again, and then maybe fail again. And that's where you had that high, high, lower high, right? So anyways, on Sol, this is not an asset I'm no longer bullish on at the moment. Like the project, cool and all, cool story, bro. But yeah, I think this needs to reset and find itself. I think a lot of things do, to be honest. Bitcoin's got one leg left in my book for, yeah. Once we hit 69-70K area, you're gonna meet bear duck again. Sol retracement, golden retrace on Sol after the sell-off. Bitcoin sells off from 69. All the alts wreck. You find Sol between $22 and $18. That's where you layer. You know what I mean? Not up here. You don't buy Sol up here, okay? You buy down here where you had a previous area of support that you're now also at a critical fib level, okay? Probably the previous high, right? Exactly. Previous high regarded as support. Hold the level. Dink. Maybe drop this to this second yellow line here, something like that. Tighten up the golden zone. Tighten up the area you layer, and we'd go something like that. So I would look for on Sol, put an alert, but let's go between $18 and $20 on SOL. Okay. What is this? Radium. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so Radium's in a little bit of a different place. You have a little bit more of a bullish argument here than you did on Sol. Sol obviously came out first or something. I don't know. Seems like it did. Radium's probably a lagger, more recent. Price action's more recent. So we have this continual rising of the trend on Ray. Okay, you don't want to see that broken, but so far you're regarding it and you're holding it really nice. Again, you could look at those not only as a upsloping trend line, but like a channel. Okay, so it's like this, and your heart line, heart line, heart line, heart line. See what I mean? So if you're going to continue here, you have a couple things happen. You might come back and test this one more time, and then you go back up and you test the highs. Okay, or you have to get above this heart line. You have to hold this now, and then you shoot up. That's that flag people paint that always they think is coming down, and it shoots up. It's funny. It's a funny one. There's so many little trappy patterns, right? You could tell it's a trap sometimes. Okay, so if I were Radium and I was trying to find myself, I would do something like this. Okay, so look, what we came up. All right, let me give you the channel again. White coffee-ish, where you find the range high and the range low. Okay, so you come up, find the range high, create the low, partial rise, come back up, partial decline, higher low. Now you've breaking and holding above the structure as a nice bullish engulfing last night, back tested, indecision doji. This is exactly what you want to see, right? You want to see this at the $50 on FTT. If not, you're gonna nuke. So you gotta break it convincingly, then you hold it, then indecision. So it is possible here that Sol or Radium, whatever this is, gives you another one of these, because it's got it in the tank still. You know what I mean? Other assets, like I said, they're at different places in their lives, right? So they can't all be bullish at the same time. You can't always have your money on everything all at the same time, right? I mean, some people can, but it's not really realistic. It's more realistic is that money shifts from one asset to another, right? And then shifts back. So we're looking for this. on radium, and we look to sweep these highs, hold those now. So it's like another level, okay? So we need to chop in here and buy up all the supply, hold it, and then you can go to sweep this last high and get the breakout, right? So how do we get to where we're looking for as far as target now? You can say X, A low, B partial rise 786, C partial decline 618, and let's go for a D 1272 would be our first area of interest. On a butterfly would be right there. $17 radium, current price 11. Gains, I know you guys like gains. So if our stop was below this previous low, right? So our stop has to be below that low. And right there, you'd be looking at 55%, 2 to 1, 2.2 to 1. So not the best, but what one might want to do, sorry. Let's take this level and we'll set it here and we'll leave that as an area. Okay, so we'll leave this area marked. Now let's take the harmonic, because again, a butterfly can go from a 1272 to a 1414 or a 1618, and this would be the 1414. So that's where you get target 2. And target 2 would look something like this. And target 2 should give you 3 to 1. And 277. So you might need to go for a little more. Get a little more. So let's go for 1618, which is the third level of the butterfly. So if this was a butterfly kind of crabby thing, again like a bat and a Gartley, this could be a butterfly and a crab sometimes. So your third target is there, and that's your 3.5 to 1 risk to reward. So that final resting place on radium, find yourself at $20. Psychological resistance for the retail traders that just think $20, let me sell. 1618 is up there. Golden mean ratio, harmonic, completion zone. Okay guys, so doesn't that look like something that, you know, if somebody bought in along here on the back test of this neckline and took all these targets, don't you think this is an area where price might retrace? You know what I mean? And you basically, I mean, you run all this up, you gotta sell back off a little bit, right? I mean, and then you could do some kind of double top and create a divergence. But I don't know, even if that was a higher high, it doesn't matter, it could be up here. Create the divergence. Either way, it seems as when you hit these third targets, 1618 golden mean ratios, $20 areas, that you should see a sell-off. Well, this is right where you are on B&B, okay? B&B, we looked at it. X, A, B, C, D, 1618, right? So if we check back, B&B, USDT, 1618. So you're in this area where, yeah, you're kind of having a little bit of a blow off top here, but nothing too crazy. Okay, so here, I filled every single order just now, by the way. 1618, 1618, here somewhere. Again, you're getting that blow off top, a little where it's just liquidation engines are going nuts. But ideally, this should see a sell-off, okay? This was that entry where if that was your entry, remember, and your stop was below this, our first target was that 2.22. So that was like your first target area, right? And if you didn't take that, it's because you were taking the next one, the more equitable 3 to 1. Okay, so here it is, 3 to 1. So traders are hitting those take profit targets, okay? This is an area, I don't know, you just don't want to see that as being long, right? This is where, I don't know, you should see pullback. I'm surprised you've even got that much steam, to be honest. It's a decent amount of steam. We'll just have to see how this plays out. But yeah, we just filled everything. Stops above 505, I think 510 right now, and then as this level kind of settles, we'll bring the stop back, and we'll use this 1618 later as like a area. We'll have a stop. We'll have our stop. Currently it's 505, it's right there, so we'd be targeting 3 to 1 back. Basically, look, 3 to 1 back test this neckline. Okay, this is not uncommon. Okay, so that's kind of that plan right there on BNB. Is, you know, you took the long, you rode it up, take your profit out. Let's see some distribution at resistance, and then let's sell this off, right? Something like that. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. I just wanted you guys to see that, how it goes from this to where it is. You know what I mean? That's where we are on BNB. That's what we were getting at there. All right, so this is Serum. Not as defined of a structure. You see, on everything else, Serum, I mean, it's okay, but everything else put in this initial kind of, we had this initial impulse up, then we put in the low. So on Serum, you put in a lower low, and yeah, now you're putting in a slightly higher low, so you could kind of say it's scrubby inverse head and shoulders ish, with like a, I don't know, I just don't, this one wasn't as clear. Doesn't mean it can't run. No, it could still run, but sometimes you know, there's so many assets out there that why jump into one that's not as clear when you have others that are really clear, right? You know, I don't like that. I'm gonna pull that from this previous low. It's a little more of a conservative area. So if we were playing this conservative, it'd be more like this. Okay, so that would be your target. You'd sweep the highs, something like that. Target Serum, you could see if you could get to $8.80. You never really back tested this. Maybe you get it still, and then you could back test again, right? So we'll just have to see, but something like that on Serum. Ideally, we're looking to sweep these previous highs, right? Those previous highs are at $8.25 basically. So you're looking to sweep those highs and target that high side area, $8.80, something like that. Okay. Next on the Sam coins, you got Holy Trinity. Again, this one, so see, again, this is the difference. This one looked better because you put in the low, and this one had the higher low. See how Serum had that Serum, it was down here, remember? You still get your target on Serum, but it's just not as defined. This got parabolic, you know what I mean? This guy, he really sent it. I don't even know if we could get in on that. It's too parabolic. There we go, a little bit. Okay. So anyways, ideally this is probably gonna chop around and get back onto this, fail below it, and then sell off. Okay. You're gonna probably end up back at this level, which is $8.75 as a potential area here. Okay, so you just got to keep that in mind on the way back down. This is not an area where we enter. I would not enter here on Holy. I would be taking profit on Holy, because if we take the measurement of the structure, the copy, we paste it, we bring it up, profit target levels have been hit, and you're below that level. Okay, this trade is over. If anything, there's a short, but Not as clear here. And again, you kind of just have this blow off top. You really, what you'd like to see is some kind of price action like this, right? And that's where you get the shorts. You want to see that double top with that slightly lower high, right? Where you had this initial high on price, you sell off, you put in the B anchor point there. And yeah, could you short that? Sure, but it's not a pattern right here. This is just like a, I don't know. It's not a pattern. It's just this impulse reaction, just trying to find itself, sell off. There's where you get the lower, right? The lower high, and then you sell off. And this would be where you maybe find an entry back for a long, but not right now, right? This is not an area for a long. Unholy. Lua, a little more promising, okay? This is different. This is different. This is not played out yet. We don't like trades that are played out. We like trades that are just getting started, right? So that's a good start there. And then you put in the slightly higher high. So, you know, we're getting our structure here, right? We're getting our structure. Okay, now we basically found this neckline area, okay? So there's your structure. So the trend is turning, right? Trend is getting more parabolic and more parabolic, okay? So it's getting further away from the initial trend line, higher lows, okay? So again, you guys are continuing to paint and ape into this thing. You could say that was a higher low, and now this is a higher low, okay? So if this becomes, has the ability to hold here, okay? So what are you doing now? Basically, you're, again, kind of rounding price action structure here. So another rounded bottom-ish type thing here. Something like this, right? Where you're just seeing this getting bought back up again. So now you have somewhat of a channel, I guess, that you're painting, maybe. Downsloping channel here. So if you can break and hold above this channel, you know, whatever you end up doing in here, chopping around, just eating at the supply. Maybe this comes up more here and connects, and then you get out of this channel, right? Sweep this next previous high. So that would give you price action continuation to the upside. At this point, you're basically you're after the golden zone at this point. Yeah. Okay, so you are going after the golden, which is a 382 to your 886. Targets, golden zone target, layer out, move stop up, whatever you want. There's a golden zone on, what is this? Lua. Between 28 cents and 40 cents is where you should, I mean, ideally you get all of this, right? And then you sell off a little bit, and then you go back again. But, you know, initially you probably want to just get out of here and get all this while you can get it. 28 to 39, but you got to hold this first. Okay, if you lose this, obviously you're fucked, but you got to hold this. Ample fold. This is pretty gross chart. We don't really like stuff like this. You can't get as discernible edges. God, I personally don't like charts like this. They're illiquid charts, and see, this is kind of what you want to see on Lua. You want to break out, hold it, and then you could get that run. Here though, I mean, Yeah, you're holding a trend line. I don't know. Nothing blaring, right? So we like to see things blaring out at us. There's other assets. Okay, the reason being is other assets are blaring out at us. So why are we going to trade something indecisive when we have something more decisive, right? We're looking for an edge. If I can't just flip onto this chart and pinpoint an edge fairly rapid, it's not a clearly defined edge yet. So I feel like this probably needs to chop again in here a little bit more. Maybe you get some kind of 3 rising valleys here, and you paint a third higher high, and you eat up this supply zone here. Okay, eat up the supply at $1, and then you can see a breakout and a square up over here at $1.20, and then maybe you could shoot the highs, right? But I think this needs a little more development. You want to see this. You don't want to see this broken. Okay. So make sure we don't lose 91 cents. Ideally, you're trying to eat the supply again at $1, but $1 keeps acting as critical psychological resistance. But this isn't as clear of an edge as we're seeing on other assets. Same thing. Alchemix, I would not be in an Alchemix trade at the moment. Too new, not enough structure developed. This is only 4 hours. If I looked at this on the daily, yeah, I mean, see, there's nothing I could do with that yet. For our swing trades, we need more structure, okay? So that's something though. Just that in itself was something. We looked at a chart, did not have structure yet, and we took a pass, right? We'll move along. Again, we hit the space bar one time and we found structure, right? You don't need to get stuck on some shit coin for no reason. This is way better. Defined low, higher low on price, defined neckline, sell off, partial decline, higher low, bullish engulfing, back test the neckline. Now we're follow through price action. Okay, so first target here is going to be 319. You're currently at $3. I know this doesn't sound whopping, but it's basically it's like 6%. From there, you'd probably be targeting this next area of like consolidation at 350. That makes more sense, you know what I mean? So you see something like that where you get to 350 and get yourself 15%. But let's see, ideally that's some kind of measured move, or yeah, see the 1272's up there. So you can target that 1272. If I was targeting a 1272, that means I'm a butterfly with a higher low. Boom, 1272. We could even bring this up here. Okay, so we had an initial sell-off, 786, followed by 618 into a 1272. Okay, it's harmonics in Fibonacci, and ideally this was thrusted up by some kind of harmonic as well. You see, so you paint the harmonic within a harmonic, and that's where you get that initial upthrust. That's where that steam came from, right? So I would be looking more for something like that on, what is this, oxy, I guess. Electronium on KuCoin, maybe if you can hold. Okay, you gotta hold. So you're putting in a low on price. Isn't this that shit? McAfee, what's his name? John McAfee, dude. Low, lower low, proceeding to finally put in a higher low. Kind of a, this is giving you kind of a double bottom structure here, where again it's still putting in a higher low. So you need this structure to hold. If this fails here, it's pretty much c'est la vie. this will just nuke again, because at that point it would be just lower highs, right? Lower highs, lower highs. So you need the trend to turn, the overall turning of the tide, right? You need this to kind of happen in order for everything to seem like it's going in your favor, right? Maybe you could start painting something like this, okay? And this allows you to get up here somewhere. Maybe you paint a bat, bearish bat. But see, if you painted a bearish bat here, again, on this top side, like I said, now you're putting in lower highs still, right? So you had this high on price, and you'd proceed to put in a lower high on price, right? Continuing the sell-off of this shitty asset. Okay, so yes, well, you might have a little bit of room here. Take your profit while you can get it, because you have to break that level. What is that? 0.036. If not, you're just gonna distribute right here. Trader's gonna take profit, and you're gonna sell off. Okay, but for now, you gotta hold this upsloping trend line, and it looks good. You sold, you went down, but immediately it was bought back up, and you're holding up. So far so good, but you'll just have to see. And last one, this one, XDC, we would not be buying this asset. This asset is done. It's playing out. The entry was down here, down here. This just goes to tell you what we don't jump into, okay? This is FOMO. This is how we FOMO. Consolidation at the lows, right? And then you run, then you run, then you run, then you run. We don't buy the top like that, all right? And I believe, yeah, let's check back in on Bitcoin, because I thought that was the last one. Did we do anything? So let's see, this seems like this candle's just hanging out there still. Indecisiveness. Where is price? 58.18. So you're still holding below that 53, 54 or 58.3, 58.4 level. So you didn't want to see that. Let's see on Ethereum, a little bit of buying up. That looks decent, but again, Bitcoin and ETH is below all that levels too, but Bitcoin is the kicker. If Bitcoin sells off, everything's gonna sell off, right? Litecoin selling off. BNB, okay, so BNB basically had a blow off top to like 475, okay? So another psychological number, right? 475 was hit and no more. So there's your blow off top. So now we're looking for confirmation, okay? So what kind of confirmation do we want? We want a swing high failure at this point, because this is a significant top area. So every single order I had layered last night hit. Every single one. I know you guys saw that post in the alts for a BNB. Go back and look at this box, and you're gonna just see like, I don't know, it was like 50 or 60 grand worth of short orders layered in this BNB. So duck is aped into a short here, but every one of those filled as a limit order, okay? No market fees were paid. Limit sells. Okay, so we had this huge engulfing, and we pumped up again. So what we're looking for here is this. We put in this high, and then we put in now the higher high, okay? So now we want to see this putting in a lower high. So if we can get this candle down to not go back above 370 or 475, right? Anywhere in here, just square it up. Anywhere in here, doesn't matter. Basically, that would be our swing high failure at our blow off top of our 1618 of our harmonic with divergence on multiple time frames, okay? So we need this to basically, yeah, sell off, print the next candle, rise back up a little bit, but ultimately put in a you know, that lower high, and then ultimately that third lower high would also be nice to see, because at that point you basically would have these three falling peaks now. Okay, so if we could paint a three falling peaks reversal here, that is what we want to see on BNB at this level. And what that would also do is it would signify that we're putting in a, you know, like a, say we sell off a little bit, come back up, you know, we'd be putting in some kind of harmonic like that, right? And that's how we get down here. Maybe run back up again, and on a higher time frame it's a double top on a higher, where you have to get away from it, right? You have to get away from it by running up again over here to put in that higher time frame double top. So anyways, let's just quickly take a look on this on the 60-minute. Okay, there's that kind of symmetrical pattern we were talking about. So if this breaks to the downside, okay, this is symmetrical here, so it has targets both ways. Okay, target here, target here. Okay, so what did I do there? I just grabbed the bottom wick to the top of the wick, okay, and I just created a measured move, copied and pasted it. So if you can break up out of the top side, you'll see, oops, this is stupid XRP, but XRP will do this. I think we probably already painted this. I don't know why I thought we were still on BNB. It'd be like that. Okay, let me go back to BNB because I was trying to show you that on the 1 hour. Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin, BNB 1 hour. Okay, so 1 hour selling off. Look at this. Momentum is just dying off. You see what I mean? So now you figure this has got to come all the way back down here, green, and then turn red, come back up here, put a lower green again, and then go red again, right? So I don't know, you got some work to do on BNB, because it would keep doing that. Or you better invalidate it now and sweep all this, sweep it all, bring this relative strength up. Okay, that's how we would look to invalidate. But anyways, I think we're gonna call it right there for the night. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. You guys are the best. I'll see you guys back in the Discord, and yeah, duck out.